Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CMC, and most importantly, welcome to the Forum. It's our weekly program for the Columbus Metropolitan Club where we cultivate conversations and connections that truly drive our region forward. The Forum brings together visionary leaders, so CEOs, members of Congress, college presidents, UN ambassadors, artists, and change makers to examine issues, exchange diverse perspectives, but most importantly, to forge connections that create a better Columbus. I'm Sophia Pfiffner. I'm the president and CEO of the Columbus Metropolitan Club, and truly it is my honor and pleasure to welcome you to this week's conversation. For those of you who are joining from our live stream, welcome. We're here in the Ellis in Italian Village. All right, so also, thank you so much for today's forum sponsor, which is the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and Taft. So thank you so much for supporting our organization. Thank you to the presenting sponsors for the live stream, which is the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation, and our live stream partner, the Columbus Dispatch. We are so grateful also to the Ellis for giving us space for hosting our forums every single week, because we know that it takes a village and it takes everyone. So let's give all of those partners a round of applause. All right, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a moment. And for those of you who are tuning in on live stream, you can do this too. Think about the last time you took a really big risk to achieve a vision, really big. Open your eyes. Were you able to get that done? Were you able to accomplish it? Well, for those who know me well, I'm an eternal optimist. And when it comes to fashion, Columbus has a vision. It has the talent. It also has the retail giants, the design schools, and the creative minds. What it hasn't had until now is the fashion infrastructure to stitch all of these pieces together. With the launch of the new Fashion Innovation Center in the heart of downtown's Discovery District, we're getting big on a bold vision. Of course we are, because we're Columbus, right? To make Columbus not just a great place for fashion, but a city defined by it. That sounds amazing. Could Columbus become the next fashion capital, not just of the Midwest, but for our entire country? We'll find out today from our panelists. So let's give a wonderful CMC huge welcome to Commissioner Erica Crawley, President of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. Madison, Hilson, and Valentina Thompson, co-founders of SENIQ. My BFF, everyone's BFF, Yogi Terrell, and CEO of Warhol and Wall Street, and director of the Columbus Fashion Alliance. And my twinning best friend, DePizzo, president of the Justice Design Lab. All right, Kat, the podium is all yours.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you so much. I mean, clearly we have really good style and taste. Also, notably, I've told everyone today that's us, this dress is washable in the washing machine, so just saying. Thank you guys so much for having us out here and being here with us today. My name's DePizzo. If you don't know me, I am the president of Justice Design Lab and also the president of a little-known girls brand named Justice. Anyone know what that brand is for girls? Yeah, so I have the proud honor of empowering girls to feel their best self every day. That's pretty awesome. But I get to do it here in Columbus, Ohio. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about Columbus and all the great things. Sophia talked about Columbus as a fashion capital. Who here knows that Columbus is #3 in the nation for fashion and retail? Well, that's some hands. Okay. I'm so proud of that stat. I think that's such an incredible stat. And honestly, I travel around the world and work with a lot of people and a lot of people in the industry. And they're like, you work in Columbus? And you're from where? Aren't there cows there? Are you kidding me? Like, this is a really great, incredible city. And so Sophia spoke to it a little bit. The reason that we are so big is we have tons of retail giants, tons of giant stores and companies. Many that you probably don't even know are here. I've been really grateful to have my journey through here and stay here. And our mission, and as we talk about today, is to keep it here, right? I will tell you, bar none, the best talent in the industry is here in Columbus, Ohio. That I will hold every day. I have had offices overseas, literally around the world, and great people, and worked across the nation, but I come back here, and every time I'm like, best people, best team, just unbelievable. It's bar none. I could talk about it all day. Yeah, right? Like, it's amazing. People around the world call me, and they ask me for talent for their teams and for their companies worldwide, all the time. I think I could just go into recruitment, honestly. And that being said, we do have amazing schools. We've got Ohio State, CCAD, Kent State, so many others. And we also have, if you could notice all the logistics that have been happening, have you noticed like Amazon buildings going up, and it's like, it's really growing, it's happening, people are noticing. But as Sophia mentioned, we don't have that infrastructure. We don't have that connection that's pulling the thread together to connect the dots. And I've worked in retail in some form or way for over 30 years. I will not tell you how old I am. But I have worked in corporate for over 20. And I will tell you that there are silos in the industry. They exist in very separate places. And my whole time in the industry in Columbus, I've kind of wondered why. And so we're going to talk a lot today about a lot of things. We're in this amazing panel, and we're going to talk about the Columbus Fashion Alliance and what it's doing. I'm a proud board member as well, and have been pretty much since the beginning. And I could not be more excited about what we're going to talk about today and the Loom. So with that, I'm going to go back to one more time the question: could Columbus be the next fashionable capital of the nation? Not just the Midwest. That is a powerful statement, because we are close, and now we're going to push it over the edge, right? Okay. All right, so this amazing panel that we have here today, I'm going to give them each. Yogi, will you kick it off? Just a minute to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. All right, good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today? My name is Yohannan Terrell. I am the executive director and founder of the Columbus Fashion Alliance. Our organization is really focused on helping connect the dots, connect that ecosystem that we know exists here to create opportunity. Our mission statement is to create positive impact for the people and the planet through fashion, and our vision is for Columbus to become the heart of fashion. So we'll talk about that a little bit too, but I'm glad to be here, glad to have this conversation.
Hello, my name is Tina Thompson. I am a co-founder of a new women's outdoor apparel brand called SENIQ, and I was born and raised here in Columbus, Ohio. I actually grew up watching my mother work in the retail industry, so I'm a second-generation merchant and excited to be here.
My name is Madison Hilson. I'm the other co-founder of SENIQ, also born and raised in Columbus, also have a mother who was in retail as well, so we learn from the best. And yes, we're clones. And really excited to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erica Crawley. I am a Franklin County Commissioner and President to the Board of Commissioners. What people don't know about me is prior to me moving here 10 years ago from Atlanta, I had an e-commerce business with my best friend Melanie called Democracy Atlanta. And prior to that, I have worked in retail. And so it's an honor to be here with you today, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. I love that about you, Commissioner. I think that's so cool. So obviously we've got some expertise up here, and we're going to dive in a little bit and learn a lot more. So Yogi, I'm going to start with you, right? Okay. Can you introduce us to the Columbus Fashion Alliance, and with that, the vision behind the Loom? And you got to tell everybody what the Loom is.
Yeah, for sure. So again, as I stated, the Columbus Fashion Alliance is a nonprofit that is focused on really strengthening the fashion ecosystem here. Initially, when I found out that Columbus was the third largest fashion ecosystem, I could not tell, right? You look around, like you said, it's very siloed. And so with that understanding, with that knowledge, we said, we can do so much more if we can connect that ecosystem, if we can connect the dots. And so since we launched the organization in 2020, right in the beginning of COVID, and since then we've been finding ways to support and solve problems for the fashion industry here and create opportunities for others, right, who are interested in that. Could look from pathways. We do a lot with the youth. One of our strongest programs is called the Future of Fashion Summer Internship, where young individuals get to learn about the whole fashion industry through people that work in the industry that live right here in Columbus, Ohio. And so we do everything from education to workforce development. One of our biggest programs is our Ready to Work program, which is also supported by Franklin County. And so thank you for the commissioners for that too as well. And that's where we're helping launch new brands, and we're helping people that want to work in the retail industry. And then we are also working on our biggest project to date. We are pushing for the opening of the first Fashion Innovation Center. It is called the Loom, and we're actually going to be getting this building within days right now. We're purchasing the building from Columbus College of Art and Design, so we're literally going to be in the creative campus. It's going to be a 43,000 square foot Fashion Innovation Center. It's going to have offices, it's going to have a micro factory in it, it's going to have an innovation lab, but this will be the place where the industry can convene and work together, where experienced people can meet the emerging brands, where designers can meet creatives and executives. So we're looking forward to an exciting new chapter for the fashion industry here in Columbus.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will tell you guys, having worked, I went to Ohio State. I'm a proud Buckeye. OH, baby. Yes, thanks. And it's not easy. It's not easy to get your foot in the door. And when I caught wind of what Yogi was doing and how he was democratizing it, right? He was making it accessible, because it was kind of ivory towered, right? I was fortunate enough to get my foot in the door, but so many aren't that have incredible talent. And so it's such an awesome program, and the Loom is an amazing access and a tool. If I had that, oh my gosh, when I was younger, I would have lost my mind. So, Yogi, what does it take to build a thriving cultural and economic district from scratch? And when was the moment that you realized this could actually work?
It takes a lot. It takes a lot. I'll tell you that. It's very hard to create something that you don't have a model for. And so we've spent a majority of our existence creating something that we didn't have a point of reference for. So we've been learning a lot of lessons along the way. But I think the feedback that we got from our stakeholders, from the youth, from people in the industry, from people that said we were solving problems for us, kept us going. So to build something, especially a physical space, one, you need resources. So the biggest thing that we needed to do was to tap into our partners to make sure that we could get the resources to open it. And so Franklin County, the Board of Commissioners, have been a great partner to us. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion has been a great partner to us to help us really get this off the ground. And we've had great support from companies like IFF, which is our lender, and great support from the City of Columbus and other partners who have said, okay, we see the vision, we've seen the work that you've been doing, and we want to bet big on fashion as a opportunity for our city. And so it takes resources, but then from there it really takes the community. You need other passionate people. We have a team over there. Shout out to my team, you know what I'm saying? We have a team of really passionate people who really care about making a difference and also appreciate fashion at the same time. So it takes a dedicated team who's willing to sit there. I mean, they know we've gone through times of abundance when we have, good resources, and then we've gone through times of scarcity, and the only thing that can get us through was this passion to make it happen. And so as we go through it, we know that we're ready for this next chapter, and we've prepared ourselves, and we've got the bumps and bruises to prove it. But manifestation is something that is very hard to achieve, and it takes dedication, and we're just glad to be at the forefront of that and what it's going to do for our region.
Yeah, I love that. And just so you guys are wrapping your head around it, this is a building in the heart of downtown, right across from CCAD. This is building and will build and will be a fashion district in Columbus, Ohio. Why should we not have one, right? A place where we're all going to go and experience, and I firmly believe it's just going to catapult off of this. So kudos to you and for the support to be the one to put the stake in the ground first, because that takes a lot, I know. Okay, Commissioner Crawley, so You've been an amazing supporter of the CFA. I don't think I realized until I came to speak in front of you on behalf of CFA, and even just for a minute, I walked out and I started to cry a little bit because I was like, I felt it. Like it was a moment, like something was happening in Columbus that was supporting this industry and the people. You talk a lot about important topics like healthcare and things that are so important to our city, but what role do you see the public leadership playing in transforming this stream into a city, like a changing reality?
Thank you for the question, and again, it's an honor to be here. I think for us at the county, and I have my county administrator here, I work with two amazing guys, Commissioner Kevin Boyce as well as O'Grady, who understand that when it comes to fashion, it's more than just what we wear. We believe that fashion is art, but fashion creates identity, it builds community, and it also builds our economy. We have a creative economy here in Ohio that has about $32.9 billion spend. When we think about access to jobs or workforce, we have more than 132,000 people who work in the creative economy. And so when we think about investing, we invest in people, we invest in opportunity. At the Board of Commissioners, I don't know if you saw it in the back, it says service, progress, and excellence, and I always say we need to add opportunity. When we think about partnership with CFA, or I'll just say from the time that I came to the board in 2021, we really started investing in 2022 between the Alliance and then the Fashion Council as well. And so in the past 3 years, the county has invested more than $5 million into fashion, into the fashion industry. But for CFA alone, just for Yogi and his dreams and building our community and building up those entrepreneurs who want to be in fashion or who are in fashion, we have invested $4.4 million in the Alliance. And so when Yogi came to me and was like, I want to create this industry, this fashion hub, this industry, this niche in the heart of like CCAD and Columbus State and where this can really take off and thrive. I'm like, absolutely. Why would we not want to be a part of this? Why would we not want to be a part of changing the landscape of and really putting Columbus on the map? When I heard that Columbus was the third largest fashion capital, I'm like, where? Like what? No, like I don't see it. But because we do have big brands here, we have big retail brands, but we have the most designers, right, as well. And so when we think about people in entrepreneurship, these are small business owners, right? Like these are small business owners trying to make a living for themselves and their families, but also transform a community. So when I think about fashion and public leadership, I think it is about us providing opportunities for our community members as we would in any other industry, whether it's healthcare, whether it's when we think about workforce development, this is workforce development. And Yogi can talk about like the Ready to Work program and what's happening there. And then, you know, when we provide opportunities to designers, then they're able to employ individuals, and that's how we continue to build our economy.
Yeah, I love that. And I have personally hired people straight out of Yogi's amazing programs that you've helped fund and that still work with me today. And like, it's a small bit, but it is circular and it's happening. And so we're excited to do more of that. What would you want the community here today to walk out and be ready to do?
So what I would love the community to be able to walk out and be ready to do is really talk about Columbus as a fashion capital. I want you to share the knowledge that you get here today and understanding, especially when it comes to public dollars. My colleagues and I really try to hone in on, you know, because people will ask all the time, like, why would you invest in the Alliance? Like, this about fashion, because people think that it's just about what you wear. But it's so, as I said, it's so much bigger than that. So I would love for you to share that fashion is not about what you wear. It is art, but it's about identity, it's about community, and it is about our economy. And so I would love for you to share that.
Awesome. Thanks, Commissioner. Okay, Tina and Maddie. So I've had the pleasure of talking with these lovely women and hearing their amazing story about launching a brand. I know a thing or two about that, and it's not easy. It's also not easy doing it right after COVID and in a challenging time, and then also getting hit by tariffs. But that being said, they've created an amazing brand, women-led. I think it's just remarkable. So let's start with, what was the hardest obstacle you faced turning your vision into a viable business, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think to start, the hardest thing once you have your first idea and your business plan written is getting funding, especially early stage funding. I think a lot of investors are focused on the $5+ million revenue targets, and it was really difficult. We met with probably over 50 people to start to get some sort of funding pre-launch, and then still to this day, we're not quite at that $5 million marks, and it's still, an effort to get funding. But I think networking was a huge thing, and something that we could bring to Columbus is that early stage funding network, and investors who are passionate about supporting startup entrepreneurs would be massive. I also think building a network of entrepreneurs was difficult. We were surrounded by so many wonderful retail leaders from Columbus who have run and grown multi-million-dollar, even billion-dollar businesses, but finding local, especially female-founded entrepreneurs was something we struggled with, and are still, finding our community.
Yeah, I would also say prototyping was a huge hurdle. So when you have your vision and you're ideating together and you have this big, great idea, you have to build a prototype in order to communicate your vision and build community around it, right? And it is really hard to build a prototype that you would die on a sword for, and you feel like it's the highest quality construction, it's beautiful fabrication, and it would be amazing if there were resources in Columbus to actually prototype here locally and not have to invest so much money into traveling across the world to visit different factories, but really being able to stay here, work with local pattern makers and sample making rooms would be a huge benefit. The other thing, I think a big hurdle for us too was just testing our concept in a cost-effective way. So I think if there was some sort of opportunity to pop up your collection in a physical retail space in Columbus and get community feedback on product, learn about what people love and don't like about your collection in person before you really take a big investment and buy a lot of inventory and build infrastructure around your vision and your brand, I think that would be a huge help too.
So what I heard you say is job creation. That's what I heard. And I think that is amazing, because that's exactly what it is. It's a sample room, it's the materials, it's the stores, it's the experience. That's job creation for Columbus, Ohio, right? And it's creating culture, which is exactly what we want. And we want it to stay here, because we don't want all this amazing talent to go to the other cities. I will tell you, when Justice actually in COVID was, it was sold at auction and was liquidated, we relaunched, and we are in all Walmart stores across the U.S. And the craziest part is it went from thousands, even tens of thousands of people and employees to 17. And I was telling these ladies, we did it out of my garage, and we did it in COVID, and it was about not moving it to New York, because that was the ask. I was like, nope, we're staying here. We're staying here, and we're doing it in Columbus, Ohio. So I hear exactly that, and what the resources would be and the need to do that. So you kind of answered a little bit of this, but so in that, like, what would be the things, I think you kind of spoke to the financial, but like physical, financial, and sort of support systems, what do founders need to truly start, but then also to scale and to stay?
I can start. So yeah, I would say physical would be having a local patterning expert in a sample making room, I think would allow businesses to start in abundance here. And then those retail spaces to help test your concept before you build a big investment around your vision would be incredible. I think culturally having a network of mentors in different functions of the retail business, whether it's finance, operations, merchandising, design, really being able to easily lean on the experts that live here in this city and have resources and readily available advice. And then I think the other thing too is, yeah, the founder network and opportunity. There's so many amazing corporate companies here, but what's interesting about this is our first experience building a startup, building from 0 to 100, and there are so many different skills required to do that that we didn't have. Most of our mentors and networks haven't actually done themselves either. So we've had to build this new board of advisors that we'd never had before, and it's hard to find people to do that. So that would be great.
And just to add on the financial aspect, something we've gotten a lot of value out of in other areas of the country have been pitch fests. It's a great way to network not only with investors, but also other founders. And not only can you get funding from it, but it helps kind of solve the other issues we were discussing too around community.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I actually think there's a lot more interest happening with investors coming and interest in Columbus around this. There's a lot more buzz than there ever was. So it's exciting. It's kind of bubbling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one other idea I wanted to talk to you about with this new building, but a really hard part of the process is finding fabrics. And you have to have budget to either travel around the world to go to vendors who produce them or to go to fabric shows that really only happen in certain cities in the country. And it would be an amazing resource to either have local fabric creation or a fabric sourcing store or room where we have amazing options from different mills and vendors where you can just kind of like come in and one-stop shop different types of fabrication. So that would be an amazing physical tool.
Yeah, please.
To that, one of the things that we've been talking about at the county just a little bit. One organization that we invest in is Rev One Ventures, which is it's an organization that works with startups, right? But they're primarily in the technology space, and we make access to capital available for those startups, and then they're able to they have an accelerator program, an incubator program. They're able to pitch and then get more investors. And we're like, how do you expand that to be able to do the things that you're talking about? Like, how do you move out of the tech and healthcare space and maybe into the fashion industry? Because we have entrepreneurs who are starting startups and need access to capitals, need to be in front of investors and be able to pitch their ideas too. So I know that's something that at least at the county we're working on, because we understand that, especially what you just said, is a need in this industry like any other one. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think to what you were saying, the tech is usually the first thing that people will come to, and they're like, well, we primarily do tech. And I'm like, okay, but what about, So that's awesome. Yogi, you think you could service up some of these items on this list?
Oh yeah, for sure. As y'all been talking, I've been over here like, yep. I know my team's over there nodding like crazy because we're like, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. But to your point, there's a lot of those. Here's what we know is true. We have the talent here, like you said. You guys are second generation, right? You got to grow up around the fashion industry. 90% of the people who have moved here to work in the industry still live here. So you have people that have been in Columbus for years who may not work for the big retailers anymore, but still have all of that knowledge. They know how to scale. They know how to, from merchandising to logistics to manufacturing to design. And so we have rich talent here, right? And now what CFA is trying to do is try to fill in some of those physical gaps that we talk about, right? So the sample spaces, we actually have a retail lab that's going to be in a loom, a white box space to actually try out new retail models and new retail opportunities. But one of the things that even shocked me was as we were doing our research, and we've done plenty of research. That's one thing I do pride us in is that we've done research with McKinsey, we've done research with Lexington here locally, we've done research with Harvard Business School, and we're currently doing a research project with Ohio University. And what we know is that not only do you have the talent here, but Columbus is already being chosen by a lot of the fashion industry, and companies are moving here all the time, and a lot of that is in manufacturing, a lot of that is in advanced manufacturing and things like that. So if we can fill the gaps between the public spaces and then add venture on top of that, Columbus is the only city out of all of the fashion cities. You talk about New York, LA, there's also St. Louis, there's Nashville, there's what's the shoes? What is that? What is that called up there by Seattle? Portland, yeah, Portland. They all have fashion venture funds. I know, sorry guys. But they all have venture funds for fashion. And Columbus is the only fashion city that does not have a fashion venture fund. And so that's one of the things that is in our vision, is to create a fashion venture fund. And you guys probably know better than I do, but how much does it take to get an emerging brand who has vision, who has an audience, who has a community ready, but you need the resources to scale? How much does that look like? Can Columbus start to invest into those? Because we know if you match the resources with the talent and the physical space resources that you need, we can become literally an engine for emerging brands, brands that are doing it the right way too. And when you think about our logistics hub, we have one of the biggest logistics hubs in the country right here in this region. And so that even adds another layer of opportunity for our region too as well. We just have to fill in those gaps.
So you're on it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we're on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on it. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So I think we talk a lot about, and I guess, I think this, Erica and Yogi, probably you guys could answer, but what does it take? We're going to transform a building and a neighborhood into a movement, right? Into a brand, and to make fashion in Columbus scalable and sustainable. Like, what does that mean to you guys?
Okay, I'll kick it off. Well, one of the things we're really excited about is that I'm on a board for Experience Columbus. And anybody from Experience Columbus in the building? All right, hey, what's up? So I'm on a board for Experience Columbus, and we often talk about, people's interest in fashion, right? We know fashion is a cultural pillar. And so when we talk about, Columbus being the third largest fashion capital, one of those things that's missing is where. Like, we talk about, where do we go? A lot of people say, oh, I want to learn more about that. Where? And so what we're trying to do with this first step of building the Loom is to start to create physical presence that represents the industry. Like, where do we tell our stories? I'll tell you guys, as I'm finding this stuff out, there are vaults of clothing from the 50s and 60s, even some stuff that OSU has, like from the Victorian era, all the way to like Balenciaga, and even Abercrombie has vintage pieces from the 60s and 70s that are just in vaults. They're just sitting there. And like, where do you go and see that? So I think the Loom really represents the beginning of creating a physical space to say, here's where you can engage, here's where you can learn, here's where you can meet. And what's so exciting about the location of it is that, again, like you said, we're right across the street from CCAD, we're right across the street from Columbus State. So now you have a connection point where before even students go into college, like before, during, and after, you have now a stickier community being built right here in Central Ohio, right here downtown. And so that is going to start building that connectivity that we've never had before. And then our next steps after that is to really kind of build out this district. So with the right support, with the right people, we're looking at our vision plan for 5 years, 10 years down the line. And some of those things include a fashion museum. Like, why don't we have one of those? Right. Why don't we have somewhere to tell our story? And I think that is the next phase that we're going into, is starting to create that physical, in real life experience for fashion here.
I would just add that, and I wrote some notes down that I wanted to make sure I highlighted for this question, and Yogi touched upon it, but like thinking of turning a building, it's not just a building, it can be a beacon, and turning a community into an ecosystem. And so when we think about like creative placemaking as cultural and a narrative strategy, like we have to be strategic about it. And storytelling is really powerful. People aren't just buying clothes, they buy stories. And we could really use local storytelling through design, using murals, installations, and curated public art. I think the other thing is continue to activate underutilized spaces. So transforming this building into a Loom, into a creative space for designers and creatives, but we can turn other vacant buildings or lots into fashion collabs, pop-up galleries, maker studios, and showrooms. I think we have a lot of vacant lots and vacant buildings that we absolutely can have creative pop-ups. Like, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We don't have to be a New York or a Los Angeles or a Paris. We have everything that we need right here. We just have to do better and be very strategic about telling our stories, our local stories. And I think that has been the disconnect. I think the other thing is, how do we make this sustainable? when we think about like unseen infrastructure, that's everything from broadband to transit to logistics, right? Like, what does that really mean for our designers and our creatives? Like, how can we support e-commerce platforms and digital fabrication like 3D knitting and laser cutting and using inventory tracking tools? Like, all of that takes money, but also it will help tell the story of our local artists. So there are absolutely things that we can do. I never look at it from a deficit, but more of there is great opportunity for us to really get this right and you know, I hate to say thread the needle, but thread the needle between the things that we know are here and then the things that are underutilized or have been underutilized, or we just really haven't elevated it to the space and to the conversation that it needed to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Can I say something really quick too? Talking about stories, right? Kat, I don't know if you're going to ask this question, and I hope not. But I would like to share a little bit about SENIQ and something that I heard recently. But I think you guys should tell it though, because it's pretty big, and I think it's part of the story about the Forbes. You know what
Oh, yeah.
We were recently on the Forbes 30 Under 30 local list for Columbus, which
Yeah.
is very exciting. Thank you. And honestly, just so exciting that Columbus was the focus for this year's local list. I think they've done a little bit of an Ohio tour, which is amazing to give the Midwest some love. But it was really inspiring for us, too. We got to meet a lot of other local young professionals who we didn't even know were in the community. So it was a great kind of opportunity and gap that showed us that there are so many young professionals, entrepreneurs, people in fashion in Columbus. We just have to get connected.
Yeah, and I think that's what's funny about that question is like this movement is already happening. There's no physical presence of it. So I think that's really what's missing here is like the gathering and the coming together. And just as a personal testimony, as someone who grew up in a retail household, went to OSU, I found it very hard to actually land my first job in retail. And I had all the resources, all the back doors, all of the mentors and advisors. And so I think I would have benefited from this, and so many people who don't even have those resources that I did would benefit from this too and be able to learn all the opportunities. So I think it's so exciting.
Yeah. I had the same experience. Yeah, I love that. Okay, all right, guys, this has been amazing. So thank you all for sharing all of your things. I have so many more questions I want to ask you, but it is a longstanding tradition that we take some questions from the audience. So let me make sure I'm saying this right so Doug doesn't yell at me. So we need, I'm reading the wrong thing. We need everybody who's either online to submit their questions in online, and or if you have a question, please stand up by the podium. You see Doug waving back there so we can answer your questions. Okay, don't jump all at once. Yes, yeah, do it. Great questions.
Kat, thank you very much, and thank you to today's panelists. Great conversation. Looks like we have some questions, some folks with questions coming up. I will start us off. Great questions at CMC always have two things in common. They can be asked in just a few sentences, a sentence or two. And what punctuation mark does a question always end with? Or a question, it always ends with a question mark. Yes, thank you very much. I messed up my own weekly line there. My apologies. So, okay, let's launch us off here. Question for Valentina and Madison. What's it like on a day-to-day basis to try to create your own brand? What is a typical day like for both of you?
There is no typical day. It changes by the hour, quite honestly, and it's always reprioritizing and redefining what we need to do that day. But I think as we get more into our roles and growing the business, it gets a little more clear cut. I think always having 3 goals in mind that you need to accomplish for the next 6 months to a year is super important when your to-do list is 7 million pages long. So that's something we've been trying to focus on.
Yes, and every day feels like a lifetime of emotions. So if you're thinking about starting a business, whoever asked this question, prepare for that. It's a lot of emotional roller coastering. And it's a lot of being able to think your highest vision, your highest dreams and picture, and then also zooming into the most granular micro levels. So it's a lot of zooming in and zooming out.
Also, too, we have found success in having at least bi-weekly strategy meetings where it is that big picture, and it's like, okay, if your goal is here, how do you think even bigger, and start to build a strategy around that, and then also accomplishing the day-to-day, but making sure you're balancing the big picture with the tactical day-to-day things is really important, too.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Padova. I'm on Gahanna City Council, and I'm constantly looking through a lens of sustainability and what we can do to help with the climate crisis, and fashion is a huge contributor to that. And so I'm wondering if there's anything that you guys have in mind when you're thinking about the climate and how fashion contributes to that, and trying to focus more on a slow fashion, reusable fashion, rather than the fast fashion that we're seeing pop up so much here recently.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, actually. And as we were stating earlier, too, our mission is to create positive impact for the people and the planet. And one of the reasons that we say that is because since Columbus is the third largest fashion industry in the country, then you probably also can imagine that we probably have a lot of textile waste, garment waste, and things like that. But we don't look at that as a problem. We look at that as an opportunity. And so we see Columbus being, it has an opportunity to be a beacon for a circular system. And so when we think about unused fabrics, unused garments, I mean, we're talking to Goodwill, we're talking to the retailers here, we're saying, hey, how can we take what you already have, turn it into new things, and also create jobs in the meantime? So I was just talking to Adam Troy about this, but we are, as a part of our research, what we're doing, we're looking at economic impact that fashion could have in our communities. And so we're literally sketching out models of economic impact if we were to build a repair center in Linden, if we were to build advanced manufacturing on West Broad, there you go. If we were to look at recycling plants and things like that. So again, fashion is not just about the sexy side of things. It's really about how can we use this ecosystem to create opportunity here, and how can that opportunity also impact our community. So we're really, really diving into it. We did a textile waste report with Mive Labs, a young, really powerful sister duo here in Columbus, where we started to actually look into what the actual numbers are of textile waste. And now we're looking at innovative ways where we can, take those things and turn them into new opportunities.
If I can add, how many times have I asked you, Yogi, about sustainability, right, in the environment? But I think something that we can do, as Ohio is an agricultural state, is like, how do we incentivize growing natural fibers or working with local agricultural byproducts? I think that's something that we can do. But also, I think one of the notes that I wrote down is, like, how can we establish a Columbus fashion label or a certification that ensures fair wages, diversity, and circularity, so that people know that we are intentional about our environment sustainability, but also that we pay people fair wages, and recognize that too. So that is something I continue to talk about and ask Yogi as he's working with designers and other creatives. What are they doing, and what can we do as public servants to help with sustainability? Thank you for that question.
I think just to add one more thing, I think some part of the sustainability conversation that often gets forgotten is just expanding the life cycle of garments, and that really starts with great design. Products that you want to buy that amazing pair of denim and keep it for the rest of your life, which doesn't force you to have to buy multiple new pairs every year. So I think that's something exciting about the new initiative, is we're just going to invest in designers to build great product that hopefully will last someone a lifetime.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, everyone. John Doherty from the Film Commission, watching on the live stream, asks, fashion and film rely on creativity and local talent. How can we better collaborate across sectors to grow and keep creative projects in Columbus?
I can start off by answering. I think one of the things that we need to do, and we've talked about it already, is tap into our homegrown talent and work with emerging talent. One thing that I would love to see more of is more from our immigrant population, Black, queer, and underserved communities who have an interest in fashion or are already designers, but also can see the cross sector with film. That is something that we can do more of. I think also, how do we partner with CCAD and OSU or cross collaborate when we thinking about film and art in that respect, as well as fashion as seen as an art.
And I could also speak to that too. One of the things that we're also excited about, we're very excited about this, obviously you guys can tell, but the area that we're moving to, so the new building, the Loom, right behind us is a fashion incubator called Blockfort, if anybody's ever heard of Blockfort. It's where a lot of artists have their offices at, and they're building a great art community there. Adam Brulette is doing a really good job of building community through art. So they're our neighbor. And then right next door to us, Service Cafe. Anybody know Service Cafe? Service Cafe is actually, they're a part of the ecosystem too. So they're going to be moving a actual food incubator called The Line right next door to us. And so all on one block, you're going to have a food incubator, a fashion incubator, and an art incubator. And John D, I know John, we've been talking about film too and getting film in the neighborhood as well too. But I think just being able to create those hubs that are extensions of the colleges, right, all in one area allows for that cross collaboration. So what you're going to see is that once we, open the doors and we're networking together, a lot of that community being built together, and we all kind of hang out together anyway. We have a term that we use called FAM, which is basically like food, fashion, film, art, and music, and we all hang out together anyway. And so we're looking forward to like building this whole FAM platform in that neighborhood, so that we're working with musicians, artists are designing some of the stuff that we have. So it's already happening, but this should be able to put some gas behind it.
I think we can also think about stylists, so not just those who are designers, but those who style people that film and in that creative space need stylists as well. So that's an opportunity to employ or give people jobs.
Photographers and all of that, photographers and sourcing, and so it's so endless. Makeup artists, so many things.
Hi, everybody. Leah Berger, Experience Columbus. Yogi, know you well. One of the things that we like to do is tell the story nationally. So I'm excited to have learned Madison and Valentina to learn a little bit more about your story. Can you, maybe the three of you with Yogi, share, are there one or two other brands that are maybe based in Columbus that we might not realize about that have a really amazing story? So would love maybe two other examples.
Yeah. So one of my personal favorites, another brand based in Columbus, is Ransom Supply, run by Rookie. Really beautiful streetwear, beautiful graphic program that's all grounded in nature and mindfulness. And they have a pop-up space down in the Short North, and that's hands down the one I'd rep all day.
Yeah. What's cool about that is Ransom Supply literally started in CFA's offices. He started his business making bandanas for COVID, and he made them out of our production lab. And then we actually have been working with Ryan along his whole pathway, and we actually brokered a deal to get him into that retail store. We even gave him a grant for his first 3 months of rent. And I was through the county support too as well. So the ecosystem is definitely working, but we're discovering so much more talent in the city. There's a designer named Aaron Levine. He used to work in Abercrombie. He now has his own brand, Aaron Levine New York. He's doing work with Ame, Leon Dore. He's doing work with Madewell. These are people that live right in our own backyard that are killing it. There's a company called Elwin that's sold in Huckberry. They're founded out of the region in Central Ohio. There's so many other brands and designers that are in this market that you may be in a restaurant sitting next to one of the best designers in the country and not know it. And that's the whole part about telling our story. We have to tell our story better because it's here and it's happening. People just don't know about it.
Hello. First of all, thank you so much for this. This is really vital to our community, and I'm just so grateful. And I'm hearing today about a lot of emerging, young, these words keep coming up. But there are a lot of us old designers that are also established. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. I'm a sustainable designer. I teach at CCAD, and my mentees come out of there every year. We do major fashion shows, just killed it in New York Fashion Week. There's a role that we play, and I play it in my little, my little capsule of my life, but I wonder how you see us playing, because at this point in my career, I'm thinking of service to the emerging and to the young designers, and not just through teaching, but what would be ideal from your perspective that our roles can become, and we can stay here and still be active and involved instead of just falling off the radar.
Yeah, I think for us emerging gals, one of the main things that we've had to lean on is a group of mentors and experts in the industry who can help the next generation with their ideas and designs and brands. So that's definitely something that will continue to be so important, is just a mentor community that is here and continuing to grow.
And I think sharing knowledge too as well, right? Like you said, you're already teaching at CCAD, but outside of that institution, the sharing of knowledge is very, very vital to, and it's not just emerging brands, like young brands, like you could be, seasoned and emerging too as well, right? I mean, people start brands at all types of ages. And so I think that expert talent, especially you, Celeste, like you're not only very skilled, but you also have a lot of knowledge in sustainability, natural fiber. So a lot of that good that can happen with fashion is a lot of information we need to be sharing too as well.
Someone who had a fashion e-commerce business, and I'm not young. I might look it. That's the look I'm going for. But I'm definitely not young. But definitely was an emerging entrepreneur. Could absolutely use mentorship from someone who I would consider an elder in the business, and would be able to help with textile care and sustainability and things like that. So I would love to see, and I've talked to Yogi about this as he's come in front of us for funding, is what are you doing to help our emerging talent? And he's talked about mentorship before, and so that's very important. And I definitely would have been important for me as we try to scale a business, and unfortunately could not figure out how to do that. And so therefore we were not able to continue to keep our business going, and would love to have had someone to teach us, like, what are the landmines, what are the pitfalls, how do you create a sustainable business plan? Those things matter.
Thank you so much. And I guess I should have said seasoned instead of old.
Thank you, Celeste. We have time for one more quick question.
Hi, my name is Tony Bell, and it is so great to be with you. I do workforce development and leadership and employee development. When I think about the workforce development spaces, I'd love for you to be more explicit. I'd love I'd like to show this to more younger people and early career people. I don't think they see just how many options are in workforce development when it comes to the fashion industry. And I think, Yogi, you mentioned, right, agriculture, agriculture, chemistry, there's everything. So if you guys would just belt some of those other opportunities out, I think our audience, I want us to not be limited in thinking about this ecosystem.
Within fashion, was that the question? Within the retail industry, all the functions?
Yeah, that and things that are fashion adjacent. And again,
Yeah.
as I was thinking about, agriculture, as we were also talking about recycling waste, et cetera, there's so many things that really do go into growing the economy. And that's why I think Administrator Wilson, Commissioner Crawley, and the team are just so wise to have invested so fruitfully in this.
I think it's such a good question, especially if you're not in the fashion bubble. It's very hard to understand all of the different functions that exist within it. I'll start the rattle. I'm sure you guys can add on to it, but I think fashion merchandising is Maddie and I's background and our first love, so that's the one we would advocate anyone to start and try once. Design, production and sourcing, finance and operations, logistics. There are so many different types of roles that make up this fashion business. It's really diverse.
Even things you don't think of that we didn't think of, like accounting, legal is something that I've never had experience with, and now I'm reading 10 contracts a day. So, you know, different adjacencies like that. I think stylists, makeup artists, to your point, was another one, photography, tech design, logistics.
It's interesting that, and thank you for the question, Tony. The one thing that when Yogi came before us, I was like, what are we doing to help with business plans, but also branding and making sure that people have access to patents if they're creating new ideas and designs, like those things need to be protected. So I'm always gonna advocate for law school because I went to law school, and lawyers. But I mean, there's so many different things that go into this industry without just thinking of just a designer. Marketing, absolutely. Being able to get your brand out there, brand awareness, makeup artists for sure, photographers for sure. Thank you, model. All of that is, you know, tied into this, and I would say they're inextricably linked as well.
And I think just to wrap it up, I think there's all of that, what you guys said, right? There's the ecosystem, there's all of the things that are needed, but there's also jobs that are coming to this market right now that need to be filled through workforce development. So we've been blessed enough to meet some of these companies. There are companies like Monster Digital that's bringing a big, huge manufacturing facility here. There's companies like Stanley and Stella who are building their new headquarters here. There's companies like BMC out of Phoenix who is doing on-demand manufacturing. And so there are jobs, and we've talked to them, and they said, hey, we know that there's some issues with, you know, fulfilling a workforce. And so we know that there's hundreds of jobs that are coming to this market that we need to be preparing for and need to be building that workforce of the future. So everything from, and that's what I love about fashion, is that through the lens of fashion, it really touches everybody. Fashion is one of those things, the business of fashion can really be engaged by anyone. So from the person who knows how to sort, to the person who knows how to, you know, sew a seam, to somebody who is a lawyer who knows trademark. We were just talking about trademarks here earlier. So there is a lot of economic opportunity, a lot of workforce development opportunity in the market just through the lens of fashion that we all could take advantage of and be a part of.
All right, guys, that was awesome. Thank you all for your questions. Do you all feel like Columbus could be the next fashion capital in the nation after this? Because I do, right? I mean, I hear all of this, and I'm involved in this, and I get a charge when I hear it. So I hope you guys did too. Thank you for enduring me and for all of your time and for being here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for playing along. So, Sophia, I will let you step up here with your amazing dress once again.
When we kicked off today's conversation, I asked everyone here in the room and also in our live stream to close your eyes, to think about that big thing that you want to have happen, a big vision. And then I asked you, like, could it become a reality? I think that today's conversation very much proves that Columbus in Central Ohio is a place where this fashion idea, this fashion vision is very much a reality and something that we're all investing in such a meaningful way. I appreciated the conversation and the question about service. You know, at the CMC, our whole point is to amplify storytelling, but most importantly, to get people to take action, to do something. So I'm going to ask each of you in the audience today to take today's conversation and think about how can you contribute to supporting this amazing vision that we have for our community. Whether that means you're mentoring a young person in your life, you're working for a law firm, and you have resources that you can give back, take today's conversation and help us amplify it. All right, so before we end, I want to thank our forum sponsors for today, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and Taft, the presenting sponsors of our live stream, the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation, and our live stream partner, the Columbus Dispatch. Thank you to the Ellis for hosting us for a very special conversation. And most importantly, we're going to give a really big round of applause to our panelists, Commissioner Erica Crawley, Madison Hilson, Valentina Thompson, Yogi Terrell, and our host, Kat DePizzo. Now, as I was walking around the room in preparation for today's conversation, someone asked me, wait, you do this every week? We do this every week. So I want to invite you to come back next week. We have an exceptional panel. It's 3 million people, one city's future. We're talking about Central Ohio and our growth again. And we want to explore, is Columbus ready for 3 million residents in 2050? I argue that we can do it because, again, I'm an optimist. We can get this done here in Columbus. Thank you, everyone, for today's conversation. Thanks for being here. Have a great afternoon.